India is an adventurous paradise. You head out for a holiday, which quickly turns into a survival situation. A dream turns into a nightmare.
I'm thirsty, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm lost.
Shelter, water, and food become a priority. A fire to keep you warm. But how? I'm Chandan Lahiri from OTS Survival School. I'll give you some tips and show you some tricks to use in a self-reliant situation. Do not think problems can only happen to other people. It can happen to you.
A lot of people ask me, why do we need to be so prepared when we're going out into the wilderness? We're only going out for a trek for a couple of days. We've got our clothes, we've got our binoculars, we've got our cameras. It's going to be a fun weekend. Why do you keep telling us you need to be prepared when you go out into the wilderness? I keep telling them to look at primitive people. They didn't live in cities. They lived in the outdoors. And if you look at them, they were always prepared. They had their animal skin clothing to keep them warm. They had their fire starting equipment, or they knew how to rub sticks together to make fire. They knew how to trap animals. They knew how to snare animals. They knew how to cook their food. They knew what to do when they found water, how to filter it, purify it. They knew what kind of water to drink, where to find water. Even in the desert, they could find water. So if the primitive people were prepared for life in the wilderness, and they always lived in the wilderness, this was their home. If they were prepared, how can we believe that we who come here once in a while to spend a few hours, maybe a couple of days, out in the wilderness, we don't need to be prepared? We need to be even more prepared compared to the primitive people. Do we know what to do in case we get a cut or a bruise, or we get a sprained ankle, or we break an arm, get dehydrated, get into some other medical emergency, we have a dislocated shoulder? Do we know what to do? We need to know what to do. The primitive people knew that. They knew how to read the plants. They could figure out the medicinal plants and how to make medicines for different kinds of ailments. We don't probably need to know all that. We don't need to know medicinal plants, but carry medicines. Carry a crib bandage. Carry some antiseptic lotion. Carry fire starting equipment. Carry some snare wire. Carry a fishing kit. You need to be prepared when you're going out into the wilderness. Another problem that you can and will face if you're spending multi-days out in the outdoors is medical emergencies. When it's hot, like it is now, you can get into dehydration, you can get into heat stroke. If you're up in the mountains, snowy areas where it's cold, you might get into high altitude problems. You might get into hypothermia. You can slip and fall into a cold river or on a waterfall. You just went to take a drink of water, you slipped and you're suddenly immersed in cold water. That can kill you very quickly. So there are lots of problems that can happen when you're out in the outdoors. You need to be aware of that, and which is why you need to get yourself trained, get into some kind of course, read up books, watch movies on training, on survival, and what you need to know, and what you need to learn, and what you need to do in case you get into a survival situation. And remember, the more prepared you are, the more trained you are, the more knowledgeable you are about the problems that you can possibly face in the outback, the lesser the chances of those problems becoming larger problems, because you know what to expect, and in case they happen, you know how to deal with it. So those are the problems that, some of the problems. There could be other problems, bee stings, and you can get into anaphylactic shock. Diarrhea is not a good thing. So there are lots of problems that can happen. And you need to be aware of all these problems and get trained for them, because it can happen to you. Learn to adapt, improvise, innovate, and overcome. To learn more tips and tricks, visit this site. I'm Chandan Lahiri, and I hope to see you soon at the OTS Survival School. Leave nothing but footprints. Bring back nothing but memories.